Nashi.
What is up, YouTube? This is the Nashi back with another YuGiOh deck profile video. This time I'll be showing you the changes and updates to my Shark deck. Now, from the get-go, I prefer playing Sharks as a water-only deck instead of generic teching it with things like UDF and other Utopias. So if that's what you're here for, you're looking at the wrong video. I don't do this just because of my thematic playstyle, but also because I have a massive amount of respect for Sharks at large. And they just personify Xyz summoning as a defined mechanic. Or at least they did before the Utopias got their upgrade. Now, water cards don't have a tremendous number of good Xyz monsters. We all know of the few good ones, and we can count them on one hand, so the rest need genuine effort to really work. But now, thanks to Brothers of Legend finally importing the Shark and water support we've been waiting literal years to be imported, we can make our plays a little better fortified and a little more consistent, and we even have genuinely powerful rebuilding tactics, all of which give the deck a much more well-rounded feel. And you'll see what I mean when we take a closer look. Starting with the actual Shark monsters, we have one left-hand Shark, a slightly awkward piece of a two-part setup. If it's special summoned from the graveyard, it can bump up its level by 1. And as a hard once per turn, it can both special summon itself from hand or grave if you control right-hand Shark, but it will get banished if it leaves the field. And if it's used to summon an Xyz monster and all of the other materials are also water, that Xyz monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. We have a playset of Buzzsaw Shark, the very flexible combo starter. If you use this material for a water Xyz summon, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5. And as a hard once per turn, it lets you target a water monster you control, special summon a fish out of the deck with the same level in defense mode, but that fish's effects cannot be activated, and you're locked into only making Xyz plays from your extra deck for the rest of the turn. We have a playset of Lantern Shark, the partner card to Buzzsaw. Just like Buzzsaw, if it's used to Xyz summon a water Xyz monster, it can be treated as level 3, 4, or 5. And as a hard once per turn, if it's summoned, it special summons any level 3, 4, or 5 water monster from your hand, but you're also locked into only making Xyz plays from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. We have a playset of Right-Hand Shark, the partner piece to Left-Hand Shark, obviously. If it's normal summoned, it adds Left-Hand Shark from the deck to the hand. And as a hard once per turn, it can both special summon itself from the graveyard if you control no monsters, but it'll banish itself if it leaves the field. And if it's used to summon an Xyz monster and all of the other materials are also water, that Xyz monster cannot be destroyed by battle. Then we get to the non-shark fish monsters. We have a playset of Beautiful Sunfish, a piece to get into any of my combo starters. As a hard once per turn, it can banish itself on its own summon to special summon any 4-star or lower fish from the deck except a copy of itself. We have one Lifeless Leaf Fish, my refill and grave setup piece. As a hard once per turn, it can both send any fish from deck to grave on its own summon, and banishes itself from the graveyard to target and shuffle 3 fish monsters in the grave back into the deck to draw a card. We have a playset of Silent Angler, a bit of a finicky extender. It can inherently special summon itself from the hand if you control a water monster, but you can't summon any more monsters from the hand for the rest of the turn if you do this. We have a playset of White Stingray, an extender that tandems with the hand sharks a little. As a hard once per turn, it can both special summon itself from the hand inherently by discarding a water monster, and it can turn itself into a tutor monster during the turn it's been resummoned from the graveyard. And we have a playset of Xyz Remora, probably the most powerful extender the deck has ever seen. It can inherently special summon itself from your hand by detaching 2 materials from any Xyz monsters you control, and if it's summoned this way, it can also target and special summon any 2 4-star fish monsters from the graveyard in defense with their effects negated, and they can't change their battle positions. Also, if you plan to use them as Xyz material, you can only use them for a water Xyz. But on the upside, it is not once per turn. Next is the spell cards. One Call by the Grave. We have a playset of Generation Force, which turned out to be an even better search card than I thought. If you control an Xyz monster, it lets you add any card with Xyz in its name from deck to hand. One Harpy's Feather Duster. One Instant Fusion. One Monster Reborn. We have one 1-for-1, another outlet for the hand sharks and a way to get into my best starter. You can discard a monster to special summon a 1-star monster from the deck, which would of course be Beautiful. 1 Raigeki. We have 1 Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, which can be a bit bricky, but when it goes off, it goes off. You have to draw it during your draw phase and keep it revealed until main phase 1, then activate it as the first card of your main phase. And if you do, it special summons any number monster with a number between 101 and 107 from your graveyard or extra deck, then Xyz summons its number C version on top of it. We have a pair of Ready Fusion, or at least I would, but I'm waiting for that price to drop just a bit. It works very similarly to Instant Fusion. You pay 1,000 life points to special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that cannot attack and it self-destructs at the end phase. But whereas Instant Fusion can special summon a level 5 or lower fusion monster of any variety, this can only special summon level 6 or lower non-effect fusion monsters. We have a playset of White Mirror, possibly one of the most important fish-based support cards that we have waited so long to finally have in our hands. As a heart once per turn, it targets and special summons any 4-star or lower fish from the graveyard, then lets you add a copy of that monster from the deck to the hand. And we have 1 Xyz Import, a quick play spell that removes a lot of problematic cards for me. It targets an Xyz monster I control and an opponent's monster with less attack than it, then puts that opponent's monster under mine as an Xyz material. Now I only play 1 trap card, and it's a single copy of Xyz Revive Splash, and that name is surprisingly accurate for everything that it does. As a hard once per turn, it either targets and resummons any rank 4 or lower Xyz monster from your graveyard and turns it into a water monster, or it can banish itself from graveyard to target a water Xyz you control, and Xyz summon a new water Xyz monster 1 rank higher by using it as material. Next we have the side deck. I'm still playing my playset each of Cosmic Cyclone, Dark Ruler No More, Solemn Johnson, Solemn Strike, and Solemn Warning. And finally, we get to the extra deck. First, we have 1 each of Rare Fish and Deep Sea Shark. These 2 are my instant and ready targets, one of them being a 4-star and the other one being a 5. We have 1 Totally Awesome, and while I can't summon it natively, it is one of the most powerful water cards we have access to. During each standby phase, if I play any, I can detach a material to special summon a frog monster from the deck. It can also tribute an aqua monster to negate the activation of any spell trap card or monster effect once per turn, destroy that card, then it can set it to my field if I want. And if Toad itself goes to the graveyard, I can move any water monster in my graveyard to my hand. We have 1 number 71 Rebarian Shark, which is mostly just used as fodder for other card effects, but I do have the ability to summon it fairly easily. Once per turn, it can target and resummon any number monster from the graveyard other than a copy of itself, then transfer one of its Xyz materials from itself to that resummoned monster. And if he goes to the graveyard, he lets you take any rank up magic spell in your deck and put it on top. We have 1 Abyss Dweller, a disabler and a handy stat booster. During either player's turn, it can detach a material to prevent the activations of any card effects in the opponent's graveyard for the entire turn. And while it has a water monster as Xyz material, it gives all water monsters 500 more attack, including itself. We have a pair of Bahamut Shark, the card that enables both Toad and Rebarian to be played just a little bit easier. It can attach a material to special summon any rank 3 or lower water Xyz monster from your extra deck, but he cannot attack for the rest of the turn if you do this. We have 1 full armor Black Ray Lancer, and he is much better in tandem with Rebarian. Now he can be summoned either with 3 level 4 water monsters, or by stacking himself on top of a rank 3 monster with no Xyz materials, but either way he gains 200 attack per material underneath him. He can also detach all of his materials if he would be destroyed, and if he destroys a monster in battle, he can target and destroy any opponent's spell trap. We have 1 number 4 Stealth Kraken, an all-new monster good for going first or second. It turns all monsters on the field into water monsters. It can destroy any opponent's water monster during either turn without targeting and deal damage equal to half of that monster's attack. And if this Xyz summon card with any materials is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, it summons a number of Stealth Kraken spawn from your extra deck up to the number of materials it had, and then it can attach a water monster engraved to each one of them as material. We have 1 number 32 Shark Drake, and yes, I actually do play this card. He requires 3 level 4 monsters to be played, but if he destroys a monster in battle, I can attach a material once per turn to resummon that monster it just destroyed, but with 1,000 less attack, and then he gets another attack during that battle phase. We have one number 37, Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark, my answer to higher attacking stat monsters. When any 2 monsters battle, he can attach 1 material to reduce the attack of all opponent's monsters by 1,000 for the turn, and if he himself is destroyed and sent to the grave, he can target and resummon any other monster from your graveyard. We have one number 101 Silent Honor Arc, my non-destructive removal. He can double detach the target and put any opponent's special summoned attack position monster underneath him as material, and if he would be destroyed, he can attach 1 material instead. We have one Stealth Kraken Spawn, a weaker version of its predecessor at first glance. It can destroy any opponent's water monster during either turn without targeting, and if this card that was summoned by number 4's effect is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, it can resummon any number of other Kraken monsters from your grave up to the number of materials it had, and then can attach 1 water monster engraved to each of them as Xyz material. We have one number C101 Silent Honor Dark, my 7th one target. He can target any opponent's special summon monster and attach it to himself as material as a soft once per turn, and if he is destroyed and sent to the graveyard while he has material and while the original 101 is in the grave, he can resummon himself, then give you life points equal to his original attack. But you can't attack with him during the turn you use this resummoning effect. And we have one Valiant Shark Lancer, the big bad sort of boss for this deck. As a hard once per turn, he can both target an opponent's monster, detach a material from any Xyz monster you control, and destroy that target. Also, it becomes a quick effect if you control another water Xyz. And if any other water Xyz you control is destroyed while he's out, he lets you take any spell card in your deck and put it on top. And that is the deck. It feels so good getting the support finally imported into the game. The Hand Sharks add so much resilience to this deck, the Krakens are flexible extra deck pieces, White Mirror is incredible extension, and it all blends in so seamlessly with the support we already have. Now we do have more Shark support coming on the horizon, as well as more numbers support that is geared to do incredible things in exchange for basically playing new versions of 7th one. So I am very excited to make this deck even better. I thank you for watching the deck profile video. If you can think of any ways I can improve this water-only deck, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, this has been Anashi, signing out.